All right, go.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Podcast. This is episode 18. We've got a very special episode with a very special guest. We got Josh, who's a pararescueman. And yeah, we're just going to kick it off, really get to know what you do, and just educate the people.
Say hi to the folks, Josh.
Well, hey, everyone.
I'm Josh.
I'm Josh. I don't know what to say. This is awesome. Thank you for having me on.
Oh, no.
Thanks for coming out.
It's awesome having you on, dude.
It's a pleasure, dude.
Wait. Before we get started.
Yeah.
He's my friend.
Wait, Chris, you have friends?
First of all, that's a surprise.
Friends.
But seriously, just to give you guys some background before we get started, before you guys are like, how did this all happen? So me and Josh actually met in DEP, which is the Delayed Enlistment Program. And I remember him always talking about how he was going to be a pararescueman. And I was like, what the fuck is a pararescueman at the time? And long story short is I was always thinking like, he kept saying it. And then now, here we are. He manifested his own destiny, and his ass is a pararescueman. For those of you who don't know, pararescuemen are some of the most badass motherfuckers on the planet. They are Air Force Special Operations. You also work for SOCOM, though, right?
Depends on which MADCOM I'm working for, but yes.
Yes.
Some of us do work for SOCOM.
What's SOCOM?
To dumb it down for you guys.
Yeah, please
For us
do, man.
folks.
For
SOCOM.
30 seconds in the conversation, I'm already lost.
Yeah, Special Operations Command. Do you want to break it down for him?
Yeah, Special Operations Command is just short for Special Operations Command. You don't want to say that every single time. It's just SOCOM. So there's a bunch of people in the Air Force who work for SOCOM, and that's just kind of like a joint military arm where a bunch of people from different branches work for SOCOM.
Nice.
So like you can work with an Army person, Navy personnel, and Air Force all under SOCOM.
So what's a famous name we've heard of who works under SOCOM? What's like a famous... I'm just trying to get him, like spoon feed it to him. So if I say Green Beret, SOCOM, right?
So there's some people who work for SOCOM and Green Berets, but I'm pretty sure there's some Green Berets that work for just regular Army. So
yeah. So all those big names you think of when you see movies, like the Navy
the cream of the
SEALs,
crop of the movies,
the
like SEAL Team
Rangers,
6 and all that stuff. Most of those guys, they're probably like trying to gear them towards like SOCOM or like DevGru or something like the cream of the crop, the best of the best. Like these guys are the best, but these are the best of the best, right?
Dang.
So
Damn.
These straight certified killers, dude.
So just so we set the playing field, I was trying to explain that these guys.
I'm not saying I work for SOCOM. I'm just saying.
That these guys are on the same level as some of the most notorious warfighters we've heard of. You think Navy SEAL, you think Green Beret, Army Ranger. These guys go through a rigorous training pipeline. They are highly skilled technicians, and they are. I mean, you tell them though. You tell them. Hit him with a question. Go ahead, Calvin.
Man, okay, first question, dude. Boot camp or whatever you call it. Whatever you got to get. What's that?
Indoc are you referring to?
Indoctrination.
Indoctrination, assessment and selection.
Sure, yeah, that, man. I heard everyone just drops like flies on those, dude. I guess, what was like the hardest mental test just to, I guess, pass the test itself?
So we can just start from the very beginning. When you first join the Air Force, you go through basic training, and like that's just the regular physical fitness and just getting indoctrinated to the Air Force and the standards and the culture of the Air Force. And then after that, depending on whether you got a contract straight into pararescue or whatever job you're going to, then you go to the training for your specific job. So if you're going to pararescue or whatever you're going through, when I went through, it was called selection or indoc. And then to answer your question, I wouldn't say anything that had done at that point when I went through selection or indoc was like super physically demanding, like where you guys here at the gym are just like lifting 600 pounds left and right and all that stuff, like because you guys are power lifters. There was nothing like that physically demanding from me. It was more like the compound stress and the compound, like the physical demand that you had to do every single day, like you run miles and lift a log, right? Like, and then that over a period of time, all that fatigue and all that stress on your body starts taking a toll on your body. But I would say it was mostly a lot of swimming, running, calisthenics, a lot of teamwork activities. But the hardest part of it was the mental portion of it. And what's what messed with people's minds the most was knowing what you were getting into before you got into it. So like each indoc or each selection course for each special warfare community is different, right? It's geared to something different because what they're looking for out of a person. I guess it was more mentally stress. They wanted to make sure we can handle mental stress very, very well. And like push yourself to the edge of chaos and come back. Push yourself to the edge of chaos and come back. And then just keep getting like comfortable with the chaos, and then push yourself to even more chaos and be comfortable with working within that chaos, like stress inoculation. That's what they kept saying. So the most mentally stressful thing that I've ever had to do during Indoc was the water con or water confidence course. And you knew ahead of time how bad it was because you already did it a few times before. And so like just we took a bus to the pool, and like a lot of times the bus to the pool was like super, super quiet because everyone's just mentally freaking out. It's like it's like if you looked in that bus, it was very, very calm, very, very silent. But if you knew what was going on, you knew that looking at everyone, there's just like bombs going off in their head because they know what's coming. They know it's the pool session. They know what's coming. The instructors are going to try to like drown. They didn't actually try to drown, but like it just kind of like I said, it was pushing us to the edge of chaos and coming back from that, right? Mm-hmm. So it was just doing things underwater with in a hypoxic environment. One of the tasks that we had to complete was tying knots underwater, under a breath hold. And we had to tie like 3 knots in succession under one breath hold, and these knots had to be perfect and 2 standard under one breath hold. So eventually, it's like a crawl, walk, run phase that we had to go through, right? Like they're not just going to throw you over the deep end right away, right? So we got to practice it, but you had to show that you're progressively getting better each week. And if you didn't, you failed one week, you got like a mulligan or you got a second chance, but you had to show that that you actually completed it the next week, right? They're like, okay, he's still progressing. He just had a bad day or something. Like they're not going to throw you out just for a bad day. But yeah, the mental portion of it, of the pool session, was probably the toughest mental aspect that I had to go through.
I bet, dude. That's wild, man.
So before you hop off that point, a lot of, at least it's mythical, maybe it's true or not, maybe you can answer. The longest day, did you guys do the longest day?
So we call it ETD, Extended Training Day. Yeah, okay. So you can call it longest day, same thing. Mm-hmm. But
explain to them what it was.
I would say it's a little different for each course that goes through because it's run by different proctors and blah, 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 blah.
So when did you start? What time did you wake up?
So for us, they started ETD right after a progress check or a test. Okay. So like every Monday, we had a test where you had to meet physical standards each week. Each week you had to do so and so many push-ups, and then the very next week is like 5 more push-ups, right? So you had to show that you're still progressing physically, getting stronger, and adapting to the environment that you're working in. So we did our test, and our test was the entire day. And then at the very end, they tell you how many tick marks, like how many mistakes people did because they weren't following proper procedures, reporting procedures, or whatever the case may be, and then you had to pay the man at the end of the day. So we're about to find out how many tick marks we got. So they made us turn around, and the suspense was happening, and then boom, another set of instructors, the night shift came in, all in like field camouflage uniforms, and ETD started. So then we had to we started for the physical fitness test that we did, or the PC, we probably woke up at like maybe 3:30 in the morning, got ready, went to the chow hall at 4:30 for breakfast so we can come back, get ready in our uniform and all our gear prepped, be at the schoolhouse by like 6:30, and then we started our test, and then we finished did our whole entire physical. It's like a physical assessment the entire day up to like 4:30. So we're running, we're doing push-ups, we're doing swimming, we're doing a fin, we're doing everything. And then at the end of the day, around 4:30, we started our ETD, and that was just a whole nother monster of they were just a lot of things they were doing. They were trying to like get a little bit creative. They still had like standards to follow and like safety procedures to do, but like you could definitely tell they were trying to get creative, and they were just trying to smoke you and just keep smoking you over, and it's just a smoke session for the next 16 hours because we had to go through the entire day, right?
Yeah.
So it was crazy. Like we went, so like 4:30. I don't remember exactly because it was like 5 years ago. But like let's say it started at 4:30. The entire rest of the day until like I don't know 4:30 the next morning. And then they're like, all right, you guys are done. You finished ETD or whatever. And then you have to be back at 6:30. Go ahead and go back to sleep. But you can't just go back to your room and go back to sleep because you have to run back to your place, get breakfast, and then you have to clean all your gear, and then you have to set all your gear up for the next day, and then you have to go to breakfast again, right? Like,
So essentially, you guys worked out from 3:30 a.m. on Monday. You got done with your extended training day at 4:30 a.m. on Tuesday. And then you started your next training day at 6 a.m. on Tuesday.
Yeah, pretty much, because you want to get there early too, right? Like you can't just show up on time.
And then you finish that training day at 4:30 p.m. on Tuesday?
Yeah, like a regular duty day.
Then
the next day was a regular duty day.
So they gave you a break after that?
Man, I don't remember, man. I was so
What is
delirious. I tell people it was like a 36, 38 hour training day because
Jesus
you
Christ.
go to like 4:30 the next day, but like I said, once you're done with your training, you have to go back and clean your gear and do all this stuff. And I remember we came back and we went out for another run. We went out, but it was because but it was awesome because everyone who passed ETD and they came back the next day, it was like a smaller team by that point. We went on pretty much a victory run, and we went around and around the base singing Jodies. We were all very prideful because we finished ETD. We were like, I wouldn't say graduates. It's just once you pass ETD or the longest day, there is a higher probability that you're actually going to graduate Indoc.
Wow.
We started looking around like, okay, these are the guys I'm actually going to be working with. So it was pretty awesome. It was awesome, but it was also miserable at the time.
I bet, dude.
That's pretty amazing. I don't know many people who can even come to work if they've had a shitty night's sleep, let alone go 36 hours
fucking training.
One of the advice someone gave to me before I joined was that because they have like a PASS test, the physical assessment stamina test or whatever, right before you go into the selection, just to see if you're physically fit enough to even go. Those are like the minimum standards. Someone once told me that you have to do the PASS test. If you can't do it hungover and been up the entire night, then you probably shouldn't go.
Jesus.
Damn, dude. That's wild.
And those aren't super easy standards that they set forth either.
No, those, like I said, those are the minimum standards. The minimum standards just to get you in the door. The actual standards to graduate are a lot tougher.
Damn.
And you don't want to be you want to be competitive when you graduate. Your numbers want to be competitive with everyone else.
Man, that's great. And there's just also just something about suffering alongside somebody else, man. Like when you guys are when you're all fucking just in the lowest point in your almost your life, it feels like at that moment, and you kind of get through it together. It's like a special bond is formed. I mean, it's mine. It's nowhere near compared to yours, man. But like wrestling, man, we would always weight cut, and we would all just kind of go through that grind together, and I feel like it made our bond closer. And I was the best man to my best friend in high school, who was my wrestling teammate, and because of that wrestling bond, I think we were best friends, dude. So I guess my question to you is, what relationships have you developed because of what you do?
I have developed some really good relationships. The best way for me to explain it is that I'm at least me personally, because I think everyone's a little bit different in how they approach friendships and all that stuff, right? Like the way I approach friendships is I don't personally like to share my entire personal life in front of everyone, right? Like I'm a pretty private person. But like when I'm friends with someone, I like the idea that I don't have to call you all the time and keep in touch with you all the time. Like if we keep in touch, maybe if we call each other or send emails to each other, like maybe a few times a month, or like even call each other like twice a year, like every 6 months or something. Like to me, I'm totally fine with that. Like I want to catch up with you, but like you know how it is. Like in everyday life, you're probably with your wife or your kids. Like things happen in your life that you don't really necessarily have time for with everyone else, like your friends, right? You do want to make time for your friends because you need a life outside of your immediate family or whatever. But like things happen in your life. So when it comes to my friendships and my life in pararescue, there's a lot going on. Like my entire day is like jam packed. Like I got my own little hobbies I gotta do. Like I started picking up woodworking, carpentry a little bit.
Nice.
That's like I've started building a little table, like nightstands and stuff like that. Like it's a lot of fun for me. But like you got your little hobbies, like go surfing, go running, swimming, whatever that is, right? Like, or weightlifting, like, you got your hobbies, and then you got your friends, and then you got your work. And sometimes your work just consumes you, right? Like, it's sometimes if you really want to be successful, your entire life revolves around your work, right? So you dedicate that time outside of work to get better at work, and that what ends up like makes you successful and also gains the respect of your peers, right? Like, because you're putting time and effort into something, into your life, pretty much.
So that's badass.
So I just realized really quick, we never really laid it out. Who? So you started with assessment. You did your boot camp, assessment and selection.
Yeah.
Pararescueman. What do you do? What's your training pipeline like? And like what makes you guys such badass dudes? Like give me a rundown. So start with after you go to assessment and selection. What's your next step?
So my how it all happened for me was a little bit roundabout. I'm what they call a retrainee, whatever. Okay. Because I didn't get a contract to go pararescue right off the bat. I ended up becoming a med tech for the military, and then I ended up retraining in the military to become a pararescueman. But normally what happens if you just join right off the bat and you had a guaranteed contract, you go to basic training, you go to selection, Indoc, or whatever they're calling now, assessment and selection, and then you go to the training of your designated career field. If you're a pararescueman, it's changed since I've been in there, but how it all happened for me is that we stayed at the schoolhouse at Lackland, and then we went on TDYs, or little training trips from our home base to other places around the United States for training, like scuba dive training or SEER training. SEER is just like survival training. And then once you graduate a couple of those courses, and they're like, okay, you've done some more hard stuff, we think you're actually going to graduate, they move you to another place in Albuquerque called Kirtland. And then you do like some more academic stuff, like EMT basic, then paramedic, and then you go out to like jump schools, and then you do some other stuff, wazoo stuff. So for a pararescueman, the training can be anywhere between 2.5 to like 3 years long, just because all the training, there's some lag time, there's some like downtime between training courses, because each course has its own like time frame it works in. So you're trying to line up the dates for each course, so which is why it takes so long. So also like paramedic takes like 6 months too. So
right. So 3 years. You guys are rescue specialists. You guys are all also certified paramedics, right?
Yeah. So like I was saying earlier, before the podcast, is that that's a big perception of pararescuemen is that we are combat medics, that's a small portion of what we do. We're like you said, we're technical rescue specialists. What we do is normal pararescuemen out of like 2 or 4 man teams, whatever, they have to go in with the equipment they have, get to the patient, rescue the patient, provide medical treatment for the patient, travel with the patient, like do some land nav or whatever over ground, and then maybe it's a short movement or whatever, but then they have to extract the patient on a helicopter or wherever, and then they fly them off to a medical facility for further treatment. So that's usually done. That can be done with like four guys, maybe 6 guys or whatever, but like that's a lot of work for like 6 dudes, right? Just to get to someone, rescue someone, treat someone, get them out of there, that dangerous situation, and go to a medical facility and still communicate with the doctor of what they're seeing and what they're treating and where they're going to go.
Yeah, especially because you're talking about a battlefield situation too. You're not just talking about like, I got to go pick this guy up in Elgin. And then drive his ass to Aurora.
Yeah. Not just the Uber for fucking military.
Yeah, because so you guys fight your way in, fight your way out of situations. You provide medical care, you rescue. It's I don't know. I think it's insane.
The best way when people ask me like what do you do? I'm like, the best way I tell people is like, let's think about a pilot, right? A pilot can fly anywhere around the world, right? Yeah. We were pretty much designed to rescue pilots. So in order to rescue a pilot, you have to be able to rescue a pilot from any situation a pilot can find himself in. And that could be a mountain, it could be a lake, it could be in the desert, it could be in the Arctic. It could be anywhere. So we're like, the common phrase is like, we're a jack of all trades, right? Like, so a lot of our training revolves around ropes. because you can do so much with ropes in rescuing a person and like in and out of stuff. So ropes and medicine is what we really like to do.
That's badass.
Damn. All right, now I have
is dope.
one burning question.
All right,
So
yeah,
for
hit
a lot
me.
of
Let's go.
so a lot of the viewers, they've probably heard of David Goggins, and everybody knows David Goggins. So,
Yes.
like I was talking to a couple people in the back, like, "Oh, what are you guys doing today?" Like, "Oh yeah, we're filming a very special podcast with Pararescueman." They're like, "So David Goggins," and I'm just like, I don't have an answer to that.
Didn't he washed out of pararescue school, didn't he?
Actually, I don't know too much about David Goggins.
I-
I just keep hearing him all the time,
Yeah.
over and over again.
So
So not to interrupt your question, but yeah, he actually washed out of pararescue school. He was a
Damn.
TAC P for a while in the Air Force, and that was when he got out of the Air Force, and then he became the the roach killer, where he was killing roaches, and
Yeah.
then he became a SEAL after
Yeah.
that.
okay.
But yeah, so he actually David Goggins washed
Yeah.
out of the school he made it through.
Oh, yeah. So that's like a burning question. Like everybody tries to always compare it to like David Goggins, but what's like? So he did SEAL training, and then you do like a different kind of training, but it's very similar because I've been reading his book.
Yeah.
And I'm like all the stuff you were talking about, like the training underwater, make the knots and stuff. Like he went through the same thing. Is it like a similar course? Is yours more advanced, or do you know too much about that?
You're talking about the course compared to the Navy SEAls that he went through?
Yeah, I think he's asking you
Because
about
they do
buds.
buzz training.
So yeah, BUDS is like underwater demolition, right?
Yeah.
Like they too have to be very, very confident and competent underwater as well,
Yeah.
because dealing with bombs underwater is a very dangerous situation,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
and so I would say they probably go through maybe a similar type of stress scenario,
Yeah.
whatever. Maybe I've never gone through the course, so I can't
Yeah.
really
Can't really talk
actually
too much
talk
about
about it, right?
Yeah.
Like I just imagine that. Yeah, I'm sure they're really good at what they do.
Uh-huh.
They obviously work in a stressful environment, so
Yeah.
they can handle stress really well, right?
Yeah.
For us, we are trained to rescue people, so like sometimes rescuing a person in water, you have to be more calm than the person in the water, right? Like
Yeah.
because if you're both panicking, then it's no good for anyone,
you're
right?
fucked,
Like you're not a good pararescueman, you're not a
Right.
good rescue specialist. Like I'm sending you in, and you're gonna panic with the patient, like
You
what's
guys are
going
both gonna
on?
drown at that point.
Yeah, like so. I would say it's the stress maybe is similar.
yeah, but the training it might overlap like in some scenarios, but it's not. They're two completely different things.
Yeah, they're what they're training for is completely different than what we're training for.
Yeah.
So
Perfect,
I
yeah.
also think the person who makes it through one of these trainings could make it through any of these.
Yeah.
Personally, in my belief,
Yeah,
we were talking about this earlier. We've had a whole range of special operators come through the gym here just because of the equipment we have. It's catered to the high intensity interval training that the special operations likes to do. And one thing I will say is between you and between the SEAL I know, the Ranger I know, you guys all have the same mindset, which is just like you guys are very level-headed, very like I'm gonna get this shit done, whether it like no matter what it takes, I'm just gonna get this shit done. And so I guess
we're just experts at it, hiding
Yeah.
our fear.
well, I think you said it earlier. You said it earlier about how it's physically, if anybody saw the training you guys did for, we talked about the extended training day, the average person would be like, fuck no, dude.
I'm dead at that.
That shit's going to kill me. But they don't understand that the battle you're fighting is not with your body, it's with your mind.
Yeah, definitely.
It's that for you guys, especially because I've seen him swim before. Holy shit!
I can't
dude.
swim, bro. I can swim, but I can't swim.
So water
die at the
water
water
is
point.
like the main reason people wash out. Wrong?
For pararescue, yeah,
Yeah.
there's definitely. I mean,
Fuck,
there's
dude.
there's even like good swimmers who go through pararescueman and they wash out in the water portion because it's just it's swimming by itself is not a indicator that you're going to graduate.
But you are a good swimmer. That
Yeah.
like
Fuck, dude.
but in terms of swimming, for like cross athlete like admiration, this dude can fucking swim, man.
you can do a fucking triathlon, dude. No
Oh.
problem.
Just a note on what you were saying about like people watching the training that we were going through and
Yeah.
like oh man, I couldn't do that. There was moments in my training where I was just like, man, I should have just stayed in college.
Yeah.
Life would have been so much easier. But I was like, oh man, I'm dedicated to this. I really want to be a PJ. So
But yeah, to get back to the point, I think the training is and like that's why I also love talking to you guys about it because I think it's so interesting, living vicariously almost. But like hearing that, you know, it's all mental. Like if you can somehow separate the situation from your own self and you can continue, you'll succeed. And that's why I was trying to say is like, you know, we talked about earlier how they were specialized. Like every special forces operator is specialized. And you know, SEALs, basic basic underwater demolition, whatever.
Yeah.
And, you know, he's a rescue specialist. You got rangers who are assault specialists. You know what I mean? They all have a piece in the giant puzzle that is special operations. But ultimately speaking, I think you could put any of these guys in
a similar situation,
and they'd fucking cut it, dude.
Yeah, like no fucking questions asked. Man, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Now, in training, how many hours a night did you guys sleep? Like on average?
I was shooting for like 8 or 9 hours. Like I was up at like maybe 3:30, done with the day around 4:30. So that's what, like 11 hours of working or maybe of awake time. Yeah. And then a couple hours after for like dinner and cleaning my gear. I was trying to be in bed by like maybe 7.
Damn.
I was trying to be in bed by 7. I was trying to get like, because you're just exhausted by the end of the day.
Dude,
right?
I'd be exhausted like 20 minutes in, dude.
Like guys literally just
went
to work, went to eat, cleaned their gear, and just went straight to sleep. But we couldn't, because there's like roll call at like 8:30 to make sure like people weren't like sneaking out in the middle of the night or whatever. And so we had to stay up. I think it was 8:30 or 7:30 or whatever. People had to stay up for roll call, and like it was just annoying because we just wanted to go to sleep.
Yeah, I bet, dude. So a lot of our listeners they lift weights, obviously, and I feel like a big part of why we miss our heavy sets is the mental portion we were talking about earlier, man. And you know, obviously we put a lot more pressure on the bar than, you know, and that just adds, like Chris said to me before, you know, more weight onto the bar.
Yeah.
But that's just a fucking barbell, dude. The shit you do, you know, it's literally life or death, you know. So I feel like the mental battle we faced before the barbell is nothing compared to the one that you faced before literally potentially saving or not successfully, you know, completing a mission. What does your self-talk look like before going into that to kind of reinforce yourself that you are going to succeed?
Are you just always just calm, cool, and collected?
Man, I was not like this before. Like before Pararescue, I was probably a little bit maybe self-conscious or self-doubting a little bit.
I could see you going in with like a Hawaiian shirt and like a
now, yes, like now,
like a gold chain and a cigar, just
coming down and being like, "Who needs saving?"
Once you graduate and you start doing the things that you're doing that are like high risk, like skydiving or scuba diving, like things that could actually like hurt you permanently for the rest of your life, you start building some confidence. So like the self-talk after I graduated, I didn't really have to do any more self-talk because I knew that I could do it. I'd done it before. It's just now I just have to make sure I'm prepared for what I'm getting myself into, like make sure I have the correct gear, everything's ready, right? Beforehand, I just had to keep my eye on the prize, that I really wanted to be a PJ. So literally all I thought about was just ambition. Like, what's my ambition? What is my drive in life? And my ambition was becoming a pararescueman and doing whatever it took to graduate. And like, for me, it was a many year process. And like, sorry, I'm just thinking real quick. It's just
take your time,
the talking with other people. Everyone's like, oh, you gotta be motivated, you gotta like pump yourself up and get in, get out, and like just crush it, right? Like, and that's awesome. Like fake motivation, still motivation, you still get hyped up for
that's
it, right?
That's like all I got, dude, is fake motivation.
Yeah, but it like still works. It like gets you amped up, right? Like you were saying on your podcast, you smelling salts.
Smelling salts.
Yeah, I gotta get through the roof, dude, to have any
like,
any hope of anything.
Like sometimes you just gotta get psyched out for it, right?
Yeah.
But like motivation comes and goes, man. Like happiness comes and goes. Like all that comes and goes. It's like what you really need is like that intrinsic value inside you to like that gets you driving towards your goal. Because like motivation, you've experienced it. Sometimes you don't have the motivation to lift weights. Sometimes you're not happy that day, but you know you got to go do it because and you do it because you're intrinsically motivated, right? Like you don't need to outwardly exert that, hey, you know, I'm actually motivated. You just sometimes you just silently walk up to the bar and you just lift it and you silently walk off and you're done.
Yeah, that's how it is.
There you go. I like it, man. So in other words, if I'm hearing correctly, you're essentially just recalling to a time where you were a badass and you successfully accomplished.
When I was a badass.
So it's
I
like
am a badass.
You know, so, yeah, my bad. You
Just
weren't.
kidding, I'm kidding.
Respect on that, bro.
But I'm just saying you were remembering a time where you had a goal, you accomplished the goal, and with that confidence, you kind of just carried into your next mission, saying like, I've already done shit before, I can do it again, type thing.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I'm sure you've seen Chris walk around in some tights. Like that's a lot of confidence right
Yeah,
there.
dude, every time he slips that thing on, he's like, man, I
Cheetah
looked good in the last
pants,
time.
Yeah,
Fuck
Yeah,
Jesus
once you
Christ.
get that confidence, man, you can do whatever you want, and you're not really thinking about what everyone else is thinking, and you're just doing your thing, you know.
Fuck yeah, man.
Now
I love it.
Now, for all the viewers out there watching, they're very interested in pararescue. What's a couple tips that you would give those folks looking to get into that career field?
Serious question. When he brings that up, we have a lot of young athletes who train here.
Yeah.
A lot of young, misguided men in particular.
Okay.
And some of them I think have no doubt like they would be good at pararescue, but they just don't know.
They don't know too much about it.
They don't know anything about it. So
Nobody really talks about it.
Like, what advice would you give them? What would you say to them to either encourage them or like explain?
Basically, try to sell it to them.
Yeah, tell them.
Give them the spiel on it.
The spiel.
Yeah. So first, start with do you like what you do?
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. I love it. I do so many cool things that kind of just blows my mind.
Like, where'd you just come back from? Just to give them a reference. What did you just do this past a couple months? You were talking about it earlier.
Okay, well, I'll just talk about since what I've been doing since December. So I saw you last December.
Yeah.
And I was just on vacation. I was on leave. I was hanging out. And then from vacation, I was going to Wyoming to do some avalanche and glacier training, rescue training, right? And then, so you got to be kind of physically fit to do that, right? So I was working out here. So I was working out here. And then after that, or actually during that, we were also doing an academic portion because I have to go through a paramedic refresher every 2 years. And so I was doing that too. So I was going avalanche, rescue, glacier training. We were trying to get some cross-country skiing in because sometimes you just have to travel across land. Sometimes the mountains are just too high for helicopters. So we did some cross-country skiing. We were trying to do some ice climbing. And then we did some more rope work, but we just did it in the snow and we were getting ourselves familiar with how difficult it is doing it in the snow compared to just doing it every day over land, just on a nice sunny day.
Yeah.
And so that was actually just like 3-4 weeks. We did all that in like 3-4 weeks. And then we did, which was really cool because sometimes we do some really cool stuff. But we did a familiarization on snowmobiles.
Ooh.
Yeah, so we got some snowmobiles and we whipped those bad boys around. I mean, we had some like lessons that we still needed to learn because you can't just have fun, right?
Right.
But you need to understand how the snowmobile works, how to control it, what to do if you flip the snowmobile, so how to dig it out and how to like, I don't know, just rescue yourself, right? And like the center of gravity and all this stuff, like how to read the terrain and blah 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 blah, and like if you do get in like a dicey situation, how to handle the snowmobile in a dicey situation. Like sometimes if you're sideways or you're in an awkward position, more speed is better, right? Just because you get more traction, you just keep going forward. But yeah, that was like all within like 4 weeks, and then after that, I hurt myself. So then, yeah, I ended up hurting my finger, so I couldn't do any more weightlifting. I couldn't do any like cool training or whatever because I had to like focus on healing.
Yeah.
So that was my main focus for like 8 weeks. But some of the other guys were doing like some mountain climbing. They were doing some land navigation, map reading and stuff like that out in the jungle. We do some shooting. We try to do some shooting every Friday, once a week at least.
Nice.
A lot of the guys like to go on boats. In Okinawa, they're very big on the water rescue and stuff like that. So we're very familiar, like driving boats, swimming, fishing, like being in the water and comfortable in the water again. Like we just do a lot of stuff. And then for fun, we like to, like a group of us, like there's like 15 of us or whatever. Yeah. We all pitch in money and then we rent out like a really, really nice mansion right next to a ski resort and just go skiing all day for fun.
Oh, geez.
Right? Like
Dude,
that's actually
that's
what
dope,
I
dude.
would say that's one of the coolest part about being in the career field, just because you have a whole bunch of dudes who like the same stuff as you, and you all
right.
pitch in money and you all like have a big party, and like after skiing you just all go out drinking and just, you just do
Dope,
that
man.
for like 4 or 5 days straight.
That's a life right
So
there.
so yeah, you're saying that it's just always an adventure. It's always fun.
It is definitely an adventure. It's definitely
an adrenaline junkie's dream.
Yeah, it's definitely something different. At least every week, right? It could be every single day, but definitely every single week. Or every single month, every single week, something different.
So your advice. So let's say now these kids are sold, man. They're
Yeah,
like,
dude,
I
that
wanna
shit
be-
sounds. Even I want to like.
Yeah,
fucking,
even now
like,
he
ooh.
wants to be a PJ. Right? I want to be a PJ. What do you suggest? What do they do? Besides, obviously, like forget about the whole just you got to talk to a recruiter, stuff like that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
what can they do to mentally and physically prepare for the pipeline?
Mentally and physically prepare for the pipeline. Physically, like I was saying earlier, you just gotta do the pass test drunk and hungover.
So they just work
Drunk
out,
and hungover. You
Yeah.
can't just be hungover. You gotta be drunk and hungover.
work out like an animal.
So yeah, work out like an animal. I would say focus on calisthenics and running and swimming. The biggest thing you're probably going to be tested on as a pararescueman, if you're trying to go pararescue, is your water confidence. So just being very, very comfortable in water. Maybe like take a lifeguard course and like how to rescue people. Like you're going to understand that like you kind of have to be calm while you're in the water. And then learn how to tie some knots because you're going to do that underwater as well. And then so that's kind of like the physical portion of doing it. And then mentally is kind of a tough one to give advice on because getting mentally strong is kind of like a personal journey and it's different for everyone, right?
Yeah.
I would say to get mentally tougher is trying to do cardio. No one likes cardio, right? Like cardio at a certain point, you're just like, okay, I just give up. I did enough cardio today, right? Like cardio, you eventually, when you do cardio like swimming or maybe the rower, you eventually get to muscle fatigue and like cardio fatigue at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Like, and that's kind of where you have to push yourself past that. And that's where mental strength comes in, right? I would read some books. I'm a personal fan of Jordan Peterson.
I love Jordan
This guy's
Peterson.
Yeah, Jordan
JP.
Peterson.
That's my dude, man.
I'm a personal fan of Jordan Peterson. Honestly, I'm not alone, but he talks a lot about the mental aspect of just being mentally tougher and like having that carry you through life. So read some of his books, 12 Rules of Life. One of the rules is just try to be honest, and I don't know. I haven't read the book yet, but
Damn.
it's on my bucket list.
There you go.
Yeah, so I think that's pretty much it for today. But thanks
Hell
for
yeah.
coming on, man. It was pretty cool. Thanks for sharing your experiences and like you might have a fucking little PJ in the making
Yeah,
over
right.
here, dude.
Probably,
He's
bro.
gotta
I
learn.
don't know.
He's got to learn how to swim first.
Yeah,
but-
dude, I fucking suck at that. I'll be real with you. I can swim if I absolutely need to. If I don't need to, I ain't swimming, dude. Like at all. I'm just chilling in the water.
But yeah, so yeah, I appreciate it, dude. That was definitely a treat for us, and hopefully you enjoyed it.
No, it was awesome, man. I loved catching up with you and hanging out
Yeah.
with you guys and just kind of like shooting the shit a little
Yeah.
bit. Like
Yeah,
this is
man.
pretty dope.
Hell yeah, dude.
Drink some, was it Black Rifle coffee?
Black
Yeah,
Rifle.
Yeah.
Been drinking Black Rifle coffee.
So
and-
for everybody watching, we are actually not sponsored, but we got this stuff and it's amazing.
Yeah,
we like
tastes
it.
really
It's
good.
awesome.
But what I really want is that the tank tops that you guys got going on right now.
we actually might have one extra one.
Yeah.
You wear a large, right?
Yeah, we're large. I mean,
Oh.
I've been getting fat. My
Yeah.
injury got me
Yeah.
fat. So
we definitely got you on the tank top, dude.
Hell yeah.
So, but yeah, with that, we'd like to say thank you guys for watching. Like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah.
Josh, the Pararescueman.
Hey.
All right, we're out of here. Have a good day, everybody.
adios.
Peace.